Alright people, it's time. It's finally time. And in case anyone missed it yesterday, Diablo 2 Resurrected, aka Diablo 2 Remastered, was announced at BlizzCon Line, which is massive news to the Diablo community, old and new. So with that announcement, I think it's time to dust off the old builds and educate some of the to-be players and some of the old school players with some tips, tricks, builds, and more. And what better way to start off this series than with the iconic Hammerdin build. So in these videos, I'm using a max level 99 fully completed character in single player to demonstrate and go over stuff. The only add-on I have is Pluggy, and these characters are default 99 template characters that I created with Hero Editor specifically for the video and series. So let's start off with talents. Hammerdins are by far one of the most expensive and powerful classes in Diablo 2. They're great for rushing, pushing, and even magic finding. A fully optimized Hammerdin can reach upwards to 20,000 damage on their hammers. So Diablo 2 talent tree is unique in its own way. And I say that because the way you want to increase your overall damage output with your skills is by adding more points in the synergies. For example, Blessed Aim and Vigor both give 14% added magic damage per level spent to our Blessed Hammers. So as you can imagine, we're going to be maxing both those synergy skills, including our Blessed Hammers. Blessed Aim is under our offensive skills, and the Vigor is under our defensive skills. Although I do want to add, I don't recommend focusing on your full damage potential until you're 85 or plus. The reason being is because Hammerdins absolutely 100% need max block chance. So we obtain this by putting 20 points in the Holy Shield, which is right next to our Blessed Hammers. So Holy Shield is by far the most important skill in any Paladin spec, because once you pump 20 skill points, which by the way is the most you can pump in any ability, but once you pump 20 skill points in this ability, you upkeep it for 505 seconds, which is roughly 8.3 minutes. This is enough for most MF runs, trips, or whatever you're going to do on your Hammerdin. This spell gives you a whopping 35% chance to block when fully capped with 325% of your current defense. The next spell we max out is Concentration. This is our go-to aura that we indefinitely run when spamming hammers because this is our damage buff. It can be found under our offensive auras right under Blessed Aim. The reason this is so important is because it gives us a whopping 345% damage buff and 20% chance to be uninterruptible when casting hammers. So as you can see here, we're doing 3,500 to 3,600 damage with just Concentration Aura active with no skillers or gear on. Now let's talk about our stats, because this is very important. You want to make sure you have enough strength and dexterity to not only equip your gear, but also hit max block. Usually you try to hit 105 strength base to equip all your gear, sometimes 5 points less give or take. Your dexterity needs to be anywhere between 160 to 175 in order to max block with Holy Shield. This is all dependent on your choice of shield. The rest of your available points needs to go straight in the Vitality. You never put a point in energy, it's a complete waste. Now let's go over the gear. This is where everything gets more interesting. So the first piece of gear is Enigma. This chest is a must-have for Hammerdin builds because of the teleport it gives you. Your main goal is to teleport into a pack of mobs, switch to your Concentration Aura, and spam your hammers, teleport out, rinse and repeat. Those who are new to the game, this build is not a starter build. This is not something you want to start the game out with. This is an expensive build because of the high runes you need to obtain. High runes are incredibly rare drops, so don't expect this to be an easy farm or easy trade-ups. The high runes needed for the Enigma are both Jaw and Burr. The next piece of gear is our belt, the Arachnid Mesh Spider Web Sash. This belt gives +1 to all skills, 20% faster cast rate, increases our mana by 5%, and it slows the targets by 10%. This is by far the best in slot belt you can have for maximizing damage on your Hammerdin. The Harlequin Crest, otherwise known as the Shako, most Diablo 2 fanatics will usually name off this item or Stone of Jordan if you ask them which item first comes to mind when they think of the game. This bad boy is one of the best helms in the game for good reason. First of all, there is no better magic finding helmet. Shako rolls a big 50% magic finding. Alongside that, it has 10% damage reduction, +2 all skills and attributes, and a flat mana and health depending on your current level. Next up is Mara's Kaleidoscope Amulet. This is another item that gives +2 to all skills, also +5 to attributes, but the biggest thing people look for is that big fat plus all resistance modifier, which ranges from 20 being the lowest and 30 being the highest. A perfect Mara's is usually very expensive even later into the leagues because of how good this amulet is for ironing out any resistance issues you may have on your character. For gloves, we have two options, one for faster cast rate and one for magic finding. The ones you want to use for magic finding are chance guards, otherwise known as chances. These gloves roll anywhere between 25% to 40% magic find. They also give 200% gold find increase if you're interested in that for a little more gambling on the side. The Fcr gloves, the faster cast rate gloves, are Mage Fist. Even players from Diablo 3 know what these are. These gloves give 20% flat FCR and 25% mana regen. Both of these are huge for Hammerdin builds. Most Hammerdins like to balance FCR with damage, so with a mix and match we can easily hit 100% FCR with rare rings and 80% without. But there are some people out there who like to magic find with 125% FCR thresh, which brings us to our next item slot, the shield. Again, we have two options for shields, one being our absolute best in slot for damage, and the other for reaching our FCR threshold. First option we have is Haz, otherwise known as the Herald of Zakarum. This is the best unique pally shield in the game. This gives our combat skills, both Blessed Hammers and Holy Shield, +4 points in total from the +2 combat and +2 to all Paladin skill levels. An extra 30% chance to block, 20% attack rating bonus, a big flat defense, 20 strength and vitality, and a whomping 50 all resistances. Our next shield is the Spirit Shield, and a Sacred Targe. This is important. Now the one I have here is actually attack rating bonus, but this is not what you want. If you want to choose to use a main hand Spirit Shield and a Sacred Targe, make sure you find a 4 open socket with plus resistances, about 30 or more. Now with Sacred Targe, earlier I mentioned your dex has to be anywhere between 160 to 175. The higher end is because of the second shield option. Make sure if you opt to use a Sacred Targe as a main hand to compensate for your block chance, and make sure your chance to block is 75%. Time for the boots. There's two options here as well. War Travelers are a magic finding go-to. These boots give anywhere between 25% and 50% magic find. They also come with a few other good things like 10 strength, 10 vitality, 25% faster run and walk, and 40% less stamina drain. Which these last two stats don't really mean a whole lot when you have an Enigma and you can just teleport everywhere anyways. Our second option is for defensive purposes. The Sandstorm Trek Scarab Shell boots. These give a good chunk of defense, 20% faster hit recovery, 15 strength and vitality, and 44 poison resist. These boots are good if you're having problems with certain things like bow run, dealing with the throne room. I would just swap the Travs for bow kills for added magic finding. Now let's move on to our weapon of choice, the Heart of Oak Rune Word. The reason this is so good is because it gives us 3 to all skills, 40% FCR, 7% mana stolen per hit, 10 extra dexterity, and it increased our maximum mana pool by 15%. But the biggest thing that everybody loves about the Hodo is that it gives us 40 to all resistances. This is hands down the best weapon you can have on a Hammerdin. Now our swap weapon of choice. This weapon is very min-max, and don't expect new players to fully understand it, but I'll try my best to explain. Call to Arms is not a weapon we want to use in our main hand, but in our offhand instead. In this guide, I pair it with my Spirit Shield to have quicker FCR so I can buff myself faster. And when I say buff myself, I mean what you see here is with Battle Command and Battle Orders. Battle Command will increase your skill level, and Battle Orders will increase your life and mana and defense. Again, this is solely used for min-maxing. Most people try to roll a perfect 6-6 to Battle Command and Battle Orders when they roll a CTA. So, onto the Mercs now. Hammerdins always want a Nightmare Act 2 defensive Merc for the Holy Freeze Aura. The setup I use on my Merc is pretty basic. I tend to go with the cheaper version of the Fortitude and put it in a Bone Weave. Those vets out there that may watch this video, I don't think we'll see E-bugged armors in Resurrected, so don't get your hopes up. I also hear Here I also have an insight inside a thresher. You can put yours in a cryptic axe if you want. Again, I just tend to go for the cheaper stuff on my Merc because it still gets the job done. Lastly, I have Indario's Visage. Now let's talk about rings to finish off the gear section of the video. Rings are very dependent on what you're looking for or what you need to round out your character. If you want some life leech, you go for Bulk Athos. If you want a chunk of attack rating and the ability to never be frozen, you get a Raven Frost. Here in this guide, I have two different rings with different stats on them. Mainly I was looking for the Fcr to hit 100% Fcr rating on my Paladin. The extra stats are just added bonuses, like 20 to strength, 31 to life, and a little bit of resistance. This one has 6 mana percent stolen per hit, and with more strength on it. So as you can see, I have 9.6 to 9.8k hammer damage, 14.3 thousand defense with a max block chance of 75%, 2400 life, and 500 mana. And we have enough resistances to tackle most content in the game with no problem. So if you made it this far, thanks for watching. I really appreciate the support. With the recent announcement of Resurrected, you can expect me to start streaming a lot of Diablo 2 over on Twitch at twitch.tv/fluffyamigotv. I'll put the link on screen and in the description below. This video is the first of more to come in the Diablo Resurrected prep series I have planned, so don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and comment down below with any suggestions or maybe things I forgot, or even just a chat. I always reply and I look at each comment.